Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 277 for May 23rd, 2018. My name, I think, is Russell Frost, and I am your host this evening. And this is my host beer. New Belgium Brewing, and of all places, Fort Collins, Colorado, Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA.
Nice.
I don't know. Let's get a first sip here. Oh, that is some that is some hoppy ass beer. Okay. Well, let's introduce the rest of the crew so that we don't have to watch me drink beer all night. My wingman on this show, he is the most reflective man in Northern Illinois, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Oh, it is true. And here, at first I thought you meant like mentally, philosophically, and then I like, oh no, that's exactly what
you just have a high albedo.
Yes. Tonight, my inebriation is brought to me by Three Sheeps Brewing. By the end of the night, I will be Three Sheeps to the wind.
Wow, that looks good.
It is called Cashmere Hammer. It is a nitro stout that was brewed. The only reason I bought this, not only because it's a nitro stout and I expect great things from this, it was brewed in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan!
You cannot say Sheboygan without smiling.
Did you get brats with it, or did you have to buy brats separately?
Oh, the brats are separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I mean, it's Sheboygan after all, right?
You would think.
Well, the other northerner on our panel this evening is our man from the Kitchener-Waterloo region. And I can't say anything else or I'll spoil a surprise later on. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Canada.
Cheers. Welcome.
Do you guys, I want to ask this, and I'm sure our viewers want to know as well. Do you guys go out and look for the most obscure beer labels that you can find at the store in order to show them on camera?
Sometimes, yes.
That would be a question for Mr. Schaefer. All of the beers you've seen have come to me courtesy of my friend Shauna. Thank you very much. Who donated the What Drives Us beer stash.
Ooh, this is very good.
Thank you to her for that.
It turns out I'm completely doing this wrong. The bottle here says there's 3 steps. Step 1, invert the bottle. Step 2, pour aggressively. And then it's a nitro, so you have to let it settle. So I'm completely drinking this incorrectly. But it's still damn good.
I was just going to say, I bet it tastes wonderful.
Oh, it does. Oh, it's so smooth.
Tastes great. Less filling. No, wait, that's something else. Well, let's get this show rolling. As we often do, we start the show with a little rant from me. And I don't know that this is a rant. I'm actually curious to know how my panelists here, how the folks in the chat room, and you viewers out there feel about this. There was an interesting commentary in the Orlando Sentinel on May 14th. I was like, I looked at the top and it said, oh, it's today's date. No. This was last week. And it was actually a response to another comment about a Florida Supreme Court decision about red light cameras. And I want to run this. I want to talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to play some video in the background. Okay? You guys are cool with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Excellent. So while I'm talking, we're gonna watch some video. Red light cameras are an interesting phenomenon in the United States, and what's odd is that it seems like there's a company called American Traffic Solutions that has gotten way too much publicity for deploying red light cameras, and then perhaps working in conjunction with the municipalities where their cameras are installed. They shortened the yellow light period, and there's other sort of dubious practices. Now, obviously American Traffic Solutions comes in and says, hey, we're going to increase your revenue and you're going to get so much money and you don't have to mess with it. We're going to do everything for you. And what city manager doesn't just go, oh, that's so wonderful. Well,
right.
My opinion on this is any city manager with half a brain cell goes, you know what? I don't think we need a private company running what's basically law enforcement here. And again, because of the potential for abuse. Now, let's talk about abuse. On your video screens, you're seeing abuse everywhere. These are people running red lights and getting in accidents throughout Florida, everywhere in Florida. And yeah, that guy got away with it, but you know, lots of other folks here just right.
How
through.
is that? What?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's just. So there's kind of two issues here. There's the whole like, should it be a private company? And then what the hell are these people thinking?
Right.
You know, like really, what are they thinking? Like who? I get. Oh, I was looking at my text and I ran the red light. But obviously, some of that stuff was different. Obviously, the guy in the.
There was a lot of Florida guys in that.
It's all Florida.
Yeah,
it's all Florida. That was like a little tour of Florida.
Yeah, I can assure you of this. If your opening statement to the police officer is, "I was looking at my texts," you're getting a ticket. You've already lost that discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of this rebuttal about this is, and let me read this last paragraph here. Excuse me, the penultimate paragraph, as it were. At least 2 annual reports in Florida show crashes increased at red light camera intersections, leading many people to conclude that increased crash rates are not an indicator of a successful safety program. Now, where have we heard this argument recently? Maybe even this week. Anyone? Well, without getting too political, after the Santa Fe High School shooting, we heard that gun laws don't save people. So apparently murder laws don't save people and we should get rid of them. Apparently fraud laws don't prevent fraud, so we should get rid of them. Laws are on the books, not because they work perfectly, because without them, we have anarchy. And red light cameras may not make intersections, may not reduce the accidents, but it's certainly penalizing the people that get caught. And if those people don't respond to those penalties, then maybe we need to look at the penalties.
Now, do we have, and I of course read the article, and there was really nothing in here that compares intersection for intersection, like accident rates before and after.
No, all the article says is that that some annual reports showed increased crashes at some red light intersections, which is really semantically null. Right.
Now in Illinois, in Chicago specifically, there was, of course, there was a huge fallout because Chicago did about everything they could to outsource everything that the city government should be doing.
Rahm is a great mayor.
Oh my God.
Oh wait, I mean that sarcastically. Rahm sucks.
Yeah. Hold the camera upside down while you're doing this.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that he did was, well, I don't want to say he specifically, but maybe it was him. You know, they bidded out street parking and the meters. And they said, we're going to let someone else take care of the meters. And they said, don't worry, you won't see any impact and won't be this. And then 2 years later, they doubled the rates on most of the meters and tripled the rates in some areas. And then said, screw you. They also brought in the company that you had said, the I don't remember the name of it, the Streetlight
Traffic Solutions.
Yeah. And then found that they had shortened some yellow lights to drive up revenue. So people who had been driving the intersections for years and years and knew exactly how the intersection timed now were running red lights because they had shortened the yellow. And
that right there is outrageous.
Yes. Yeah.
That is absolutely that is a menace to the public doing something like that.
Yeah, it really is. And it's manipulative, and you know, you're manipulating the environment in order to intentionally throw people off. Yeah. And so there are many cases in which the red light cameras have been removed and people have had their tickets thrown out, and it's a huge outcry from this. And hey, let's face it, it does drive revenue because they do send out a lot of tickets to a lot of people who actually pay them. So it does drive revenue, but it's not safer. It's just revenue.
Well, again, there's another sentence in here that I want to quote. Most of the drivers were heavily distracted or impaired. Sending bills to them for violations in the mail weeks later had no effect on preventing the crashes. This is an argument for what?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, if the crash occurs, sending them a ticket weeks later isn't going to go back in time and keep them from causing the crash.
No, but is it going to maybe add to what they're thinking about? Maybe the next time they decide, I can get through this light.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but wouldn't a crash be enough?
You would think.
Like you've got to go through insurance. You might have an injury. There's all sorts of things that could be really bad about a crash. Besides, you got a ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know.
But, watching that montage. Obviously, some people are sleeping while they're driving. Yes. Like it's just
or
that don't blatant.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, but you would think that natural selection would off those people eventually if they live their lives like that.
You haven't spent as much time in Florida as I have. Thank you. I once was in a left-hand turn lane behind a mother who had a child in the car seat. And as the light turned green, she whipped her tall Budweiser can out and it landed in the median. Now that's an anecdote. Who cares? But all I'm telling you is that there's a lot of irresponsible drivers out there. And the answer isn't going, we don't need to enforce laws. That's not the answer. And that's what this is suggesting, that enforcing laws and enforcing penalties for breaking laws is a bad thing.
Yeah, well, maybe they should do a study on that and just abolish the law for a year, film the intersection, and see what happens.
As long as I'm not in Florida, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now my kid lives there, so I'd really rather she didn't get caught up in this, in the anarchy that's going to take place.
Well, they could say anarchy intersections of the week or
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I like that. This week's non-ticketed intersections.
What you do is you set up two routes to the same place, and you have one of them the socialist route, and the other is the libertarian route, and then you see how many people survive.
I got nothing.
I
got nothing.
I have Paul Guzik, who has a lot to say on this topic.
Oh, it's Paul Guzik. Hey, Paul.
My stupid browser went stupid, so it took me a while to get on the air here.
Welcome aboard, Paul Guzik of BoulderHC.com.
Good evening, everybody.
We have our first show title.
Oh, do we?
What's that?
Florida Thunderdome. Traffic light intersection.
Wow. I rather like that.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Lee Moon. Who knows Florida? Paul, I don't know. I
caught a bit of it on the back monitor here, but I'll just let you finish this topic.
No sweat. Yeah. Well, I think I'm about done. Anybody else want to talk about red light cameras and public safety and, hey, traffic laws, trivial or otherwise?
One question to Tony. With Chicago catching them playing with the timing of the yellow flight, did that result in the ousting of that company, or did they give them a bravo and a pat on the back?
Well, behind the scenes, yeah, but they have a pat on the back. You know what? I think no, this definitely the company was not ousted. They had to review the practice and all of that. But no, the Kardashians did something and it was quickly forgotten.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, well, let's see who's next. I have to look. That's the chat room. Mark, talk to us about another kind of accident.
Yeah, we're going to talk about, as maybe people of my generation remember them, the Weebles. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Yeah.
So Tony's going to roll a video for us.
All right, can you put the share here?
And this is a Tesla Model X in a test for a rollover. Go ahead and fire it. And here we go. The first test. The Tesla's going to roll in from the right-hand side of the screen.
So you claim.
That's what the circle spinning is telling us.
Yeah,
it's coming from the right.
Tony's data rate is still very, very low.
Time to get a 19.2 modem.
Okay.
Well, any AOL connection just is not cutting it, man.
This super sucks.
The car comes in from the right, and that brown pad that you see in the foreground, it's almost like it's a spongy, carpety type material, and the wheels sideways catch onto it, and it attempts to roll the car.
Okay, so here I want to do this. All right, I'm going to share this other one.
Here,
this other one here.
No, I got it, Tony. How's that?
Yeah, I got this one.
Okay.
So it's just a one-time take.
Yeah, it's not showing the 3 or 4 times.
But I think this is the most severe. The others didn't even roll that far.
Right.
Let me give it a shot here. Maybe
sure,
I can do it.
I just like watching this.
I don't know.
You've got California bandwidth.
Yeah, I got bandwidth to spare, baby.
Carbon proof.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, so video. Dun 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 dun.
There we go.
Whoa.
So there's the first attempt. Didn't do much. Second attempt gets it up on the doors, and the third attempt pushes it almost to the roof, and it still comes back and lands on the 4 wheels.
Yep.
So just very interesting that how the test is performed, and of course the website has a number of other cars that do not fare even close as well to how the Model X was able to handle this. But interesting test that they run.
Low center of gravity because of a big giant battery.
Yeah,
that big giant battery in the center. Absolutely.
At the floor.
Yep. Low center of gravity keeps that Weeble wobbling back.
Well, I mean, that's one of the advantages of all EVs or most EVs.
Most EVs,
design is that they've got all that battery packed down low, that low center of gravity. They handle better, they corner better, and they're not the rollover machines that.
I heard Suzuki's coming out with a little mini Jeep EV with the battery on the roof.
If you can read this, flip me over.
Oh my gosh.
Let me guess. And the wheels are smaller on one side.
Oh man, wouldn't that be a
sense? I mean,
major error?
Suzuki. And it's called the Kamikaze, not the Samurai. Okay, well, there goes another sponsor.
But good, interesting to see it in live motion as to how that test is performed, and certainly, as we said, an EV seems to be able to manage it quite well.
Test come from? Was it like Insurance Safety Institute or who did it? Who wasted a Tesla doing that test?
That is a good question.
It's Jalopnik. They probably didn't say. They just went, look at the cool video.
Yeah.
But hey, it caught me. I thought that was very cool.
Tesla tweeted the video. It was a NHTSA. No? Well, it says the test.
Yep, NHTSA 5.
No. That's the rating. The rollover test isn't conducted by the U.S. government.
Huh.
It doesn't say.
All right. Maybe they were doing it themselves.
Elon's in the front seat laughing his ass off.
I mean, it still severely damages the car.
Yes.
So.
And he's screaming, "Do it again! Do it again!"
Yeah.
Faster!
He's live tweeting from inside the car.
That would explain so much.
It really would. Yes.
Explain so much this week. Absolutely.
Oh my. Well, our next story isn't about rolling over. It's about growth. And Tony's going to tell us a little more.
Yes. Okay. we all go through a time when we experience growth. Wait, which article was I reading?
Where is this going?
This is going nowhere. So,
it sounds like a health class all of a sudden. When a man loves a woman very much.
Tony's got a story about growth, and of course I went there. So this is from The Drive, and thedrive.com. I found this very interesting because it talked about plug-in car adoption, and I was like, okay, let's read this article about plug-in car adoption. And what was the most interesting is that this article was all about Germany and how Germany is adopting plug-in vehicles. But what is the most interesting, as you can see from the from Russell sharing his desktop here, is that the Kia Soul is leading the plug-in adoption in Germany. So here we have these German-engineered, German luxury cars, and in terms of plug-in, a Korean company is leading the charge.
Yeah, but the Korean car is probably half the price of the German car.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. See, there's that. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, of course, but still, that's a bragging right for Kia, the way I see it. And that these other car companies could make cars that compete. They could electrify their fleet in other ways, but they're not. We've gotten on electrification of German cars for years, and they've just been extremely reluctant to do anything. So I'm really hoping that seeing Kia, up in the lead, at least in this category, would possibly do something to kick the German manufacturers in the butt a little and say, you've got to do something here.
It's also interesting how the Renault Zoe or whatever sounds big. I guess that's their version of the Leaf, or
Renault's version.
The European Leaf. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I have a pending review on the Kia Soul EV. It's a pretty nice little EV for what it is. I really enjoy driving it. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I think
Did you dress up in a hamster costume?
It comes with one, I think. Right?
Comes with one.
Yeah, don't I already look like a rodent? I mean, you can dress up like one. I do have to say, the most ridiculous feature of that car, and it's not just the EV, but both the EV and the gas version, they have this little thing where they have like a LED ring around the speakers and the front doors. It is maybe one of the worst, most poorly implemented feature in a car I've ever seen.
Yeah, but if you were 21 years old, you might think it's really cool.
How is it poorly implemented?
It's like you can't see it at all during the day. It has to be pitch dark. The colors are really weak, and the light is barely visible. It is awful. It's just awful. It does a thump to the music. Yeah, a little bit, but it's really terrible. Okay. I mean, and we're talking about something that you can build in like a $7 light bulb. You know what I mean? Like we're not talking about like high tech. It's just blinks with the music, right? How hard? That's simple. But they did it really poorly. But anyway, I don't want to talk about. I mean, the Soul EV is a really nice car, way nicer than the Soul Turbo, by the way. Way better than the Soul Turbo. In fact, I think I talked to you about the Soul Turbo, didn't I, Paul?
A little bit, I think.
Yeah, I was talking about the weirdness when the turbo kicks in and the steering kind of goes. Ugh. Yeah. And I enjoyed driving the Soul EV. It was a nice little car.
Yeah, I think I might be getting a Soul EV later this summer.
Yeah.
But isn't it, price is a big part of this. Like
sure.
In the German market, like an i3 is crazy priced here in my neck of the woods, but it's a mid-sized luxury car in EVs. Like the price is really high. So like Paul had mentioned, is like the Soul's got to be close to half the price.
I mean, the Soul here sells for like $32,000.
Right.
You know, but so what does that tell us? Does that tell us that moderately priced EVs would garner a lot of customers?
Bingo.
So.
Possibly, yeah. And unless it's the Nissan Leaf.
Well, the Leaf is like $6,000 more, though.
Right. We're not talking about that article. So yeah, I read an article in I've been Electric that was saying that the Leaf sales just fell off a cliff this month. Not just here in the U.S., but globally.
But is it supply?
Yeah, that was the big thing. They don't know because Nissan's not saying. But yeah, it's quite possibly. Yeah, I don't. You know, they just didn't know. But the sales numbers were down for.
That is concerning since the car, jumped out of the gate quite promisingly. What has happened to it lately? I hope it's supply because man. They're geared up with factories, 3 of them now that pump them out. One in North America, one in Europe, one in Asia. So
if they've got 3 factories. Why would it be supply? He asked.
Well, because maybe they have a bottleneck. Maybe Elon's not the only one who gets a bottleneck.
Those damn robots.
Those damn robots got together and formed a union.
Yes.
Once Flufferbot got fired, that was it.
all the other bots were uninspired.
I got nothing on Flufferbot.
Yeah,
and I don't know about the Leaf. I mean, this is one of those classic questions of is it supply constraint or is it demand? It does seem odd that it would fall off all of a sudden.
Well, I read it was also due to the end of the quarter push last quarter.
What, to sell Ultimas or something?
Raise their numbers on the Leaf, so they incentivized
like
the stuff.
inventory.
And now it's a new quarter, so they don't care for another 3 months.
That whole like car sales end of the month, end of the quarter thing. It's like it's evil. Ridiculous.
Well, just talking on that story, there was a note today about BMW pushing i3s out in California at crazy lease prices. It was posted that someone actually was able to lease an i3 for $112 a month.
Wow!
As long as they paid the lease all 3 years up front.
Oh,
and then there was a number of discounts they got, but it got
a $10,000 down payment.
But it got it to the price of of $112 a month.
I hate how the car companies do the leasing things where they go, it's $250 a month with $6,000 down. Well, for 36 months, you divide 6,000 by, it's actually $450 a month. So why don't they
But this particular one, it wasn't
the real number was
real number was $112. So those in California, get on it now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go look tomorrow.
Well, there was a couple of years ago they were doing Fiat 500s for like $99 a month.
Yep.
Well, and iMeves were the same way. Not that anybody wanted one, but I like the car. You could get an iMev for like $99 a month without the huge balloon at the beginning. So, hey, the iMev wasn't a bad. It wasn't.
No.
Okay, it was horrible, but it wasn't horrible.
But for $100 a month, it pay for itself.
Right.
It was a good spare car, to tow behind your regular car, and if you got a flat, you could just
use the iMev to get home.
Oh my God! Oh no! If anyone from Mitsubishi is watching this, I didn't see any of it.
If anyone from Mitsubishi is watching
how many car companies have we lost as sponsors tonight?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm trying with Nissan, and come on, guys, talk to me here.
Right. If you work for Nissan or Mitsubishi, make sure and subscribe to our YouTube page, and you will be notified when we start insulting your company.
Exactly. Well, speaking of insulting your company, those rotten, vicious bastards at Consumer Reports have been picking on Elon Musk, and it's just not fair.
Wait, I have a picture. See this car right here? Piece of crap.
Piece of crap. So Patrick Olson at Consumer Reports put together an article that is titled, and I quote, "Tesla Model 3 falls short of a CR recommendation." Wow. Consumer Reports.
Didn't a couple years ago they said the Model S was the best car they ever tested?
It may have been, yeah.
Yeah, it was, and in fact, it broke their rating system. It got a 5.1 out of 5.
Right. I I'll just say this. I mean, I think Consumer Reports does a very good job of objectively looking at vehicles. Unlike almost every other media outlet out there, generally speaking, when Consumer Reports says something, I've found it to be true in my own experience. And even when I disagree with them, oftentimes I find out I was wrong and they were right as I dig into something. So it doesn't mean they're always right or that their ratings are always super, accurate or all encompassing. But overall, I think they do a good job. Their big thing was the braking performance of the Model 3 was pretty miserable, which set Elon Musk into a Twitter fit.
Ooh, Twitter fest.
He had a little Twitter tantrum.
Yeah, tantrum. I don't know. I can't make anything on it.
And started screaming about how the media is unfair to him and blah, blah, blah. And
it's fake news, not media.
It's fake news. Yeah. And to get back to the story at hand, they loved the range that they got out of the Model 3. They loved the handling that they got out of it, but they thought the ride quality was poor. They thought it was noisy. They didn't like the back seat. They weren't especially enamored with everything being controlled on the central touchscreen. We can argue over like, okay, I shouldn't have to go through a menu to open my glove box, but maybe some people are okay with that. I don't know. But I don't think any of their criticisms are unfair, and that's really where I'm going to stop.
I agree with you that they have numbers. Tesla's stopping distance of 152 feet from 60 miles an hour is far worse than any contemporary car we've tested, and 7 feet longer than the stopping distance of a Ford F-150 full-size pickup. That is like, damn. What do they say? The 130 some is like average for that. 131 feet for luxury compact sedans is the class average.
And they were, yeah.
And obviously there was something correct with that, because Elon took to the Twitterverse and reported that he was going to adjust something in the firmware or the software to allow the car to be better at braking. Obviously there's something going on. Elon had said, even though Consumer Reports did indicate they used more than one car to test this over a few different attempts, that he was going to try to get them a test car to do it again, one of the newer versions. So why was this? Why was a couple cars out of whack? Or is it all of them? Who knows? We have no idea. All we know that they tested a couple and they got the same result is what they said.
Yeah, David pointed out in the chat that the first time they tested it, they got 130 feet. But that was the first one. And then they did it multiple times because this is what they do with every car. And they just couldn't repeat 130. And so then, they brought in a second car. And they even indicated that they did it over 2 days to make sure the brakes had cooled and everything. So, I don't know.
Paul, have you ever heard that you could adjust the braking on a vehicle?
Well, I mean,
like remotely?
There's a ABS pump that's software based, so I guess they could put more pressure in the pump so that it, when you press the brake pedal. Being Tesla, they could also adjust the regen to be more aggressive when you step on the brake pedal. So generally, that's not something that is ever changed on a car once it leaves the factory, but Tesla having to over-the-air updates and a lot more software in their car than an average car. Maybe there are some tricks they can pull.
Yeah, there's a couple things in the chat room. Matt suggested maybe it's because they weigh more and it's just inertia.
Yeah, well, definitely. But cars that go fast and cars that are heavy have bigger brakes and bigger discs, rotors, and it's all engineered into it. The brakes on a Porsche are a lot more than brakes on a Kia.
So would it take as much distance to brake if the battery was empty because they would be lighter?
Yeah, slightly.
Okay. Yeah. No, actually, so that part was a joke, not a joke. David in the chat room had mentioned if the battery is full, could the car have ignored the regen and just relied exclusively on the physical brakes, which could have impacted the braking distance?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We will see if more comes of this story as time goes along. But Elon had posted publicly on Twitter that he was going to be reviewing this, and of course, safety being a number one pillar of Tesla, they've got to address it, and they would have to come back with some sort of public-facing statement, I would assume.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when they roll the software out what does change and what Consumer Reports' second round of testing does.
So prompted by Matt in the chat room, I did a Google search on average braking speed, and because he had referenced 100 feet. The 2013 Audi RS5 Coupe, 101 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Ford Shelby GT500, 101 feet. The Audi RS7, 101 feet.
Now, that said,
but that's the Model 3 isn't in that classic car.
Yeah, those are expensive cars that probably have outrageous Brembo brakes or something.
Yeah.
This is not. Yeah, this is a car that's using regen and then using brake.
So you're saying I can't compare it to a Lamborghini
No. Correct. Yeah, absolutely. The direct comparison is possible there.
European spec.
Yeah, I mean, it's a V12. Of course, it compares directly to the Model 3.
2015 Chevy Camaro SS 1LE, 99 feet.
Wow.
I'm surprised. Wow.
And a Dodge Dart can stop in less if you drive it directly into a wall.
Right, exactly, yeah. The Dodge Dart stopped in 0 when it was driven into a concrete abutment.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is really the best way to drive.
Which is the only way to stop a Dodge Dart.
Well, enough of this frivolity. Tony has a story that is probably our most serious story this week.
Yes. So I don't know if anyone heard about this, but apparently about 4 days ago, it was all over the news that a relatively obscure couple, I believe, were married in an unknown location and drove away in an electric Jaguar. So
that's a pretty cool EV.
Yeah. So apparently this is a. Hold on, we've got a. I've got a close up of the of this anonymous couple here. It looks like this.
Oh.
So so Mark, is it true that if you email the Parliament, you can get a free picture of Marla Maple?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Not an issue at all.
Yeah. So this is a geez, I have to expand this, and I forgot what it was now. It is a Jaguar E-Type 0 that was first debuted in September 2017. So this is based on the original 1968 series E-Type. They ripped out all the transmission stuff, replaced it with an electric motor, and so it's just kind of. I thought this was a really cool story because, of course, there was the whole royal wedding thing that I just completely refused to watch because weddings are stupid. Oh my God, did that come out?
Your wife doesn't watch the show,
Does
right?
your wife watch the show?
Not at all.
Not anymore.
She sees me enough.
Not anymore.
But so imagine sort of my surprise at the very end to see that you know, the couple who, I mean, let's face it, the royal.
Your wife just called me. She said, "Don't even leave the room.
Don't bother." So let's face it, the royal kids, Harry and whatever the other one,
Meghan.
No, the his older brother.
Oh,
William.
Kate?
William. There you go. Yeah, William and Harry. They've kicked tradition in a lot of ways, in a lot of the stuff that they've done. And so I just thought this was one more really cool thing they did to sort of buck tradition, you know, and then even more so putting electric vehicles in the forefront and getting in his electric convertible and driving off. I thought it was just a really cool thing. Also, I'm going to, let's see, I have to kick out and then I have to come back in. I can't just swap windows. I have to do this. And quite possibly, if I zoom, maybe you can see, which I thought was really funny. They were married on the 19th of May in 2018. So the license plate actually is personalized for the date of the wedding.
But the real question is what is the 60 to 0 braking speed of that car?
It turns out it's
101 feet.
101 feet.
Yeah.
But those are British feet, so who knows what
what that means. Yes.
Yes.
It's metric. It doesn't, you know.
Yeah. So that's kind of the feel-good story at the end, you know, here is, you know, the royal couple.
I mean, it's a gorgeous car.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yes.
And it's probably a gorgeous price, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who cares? Like,
they can afford it.
Yeah.
Grandma's loaded.
Yeah, I believe somewhere in the article it said they paid exactly $0 to drive that car. Although they do say that the car posts at 325 pounds, which is well over $470,000 in U.S. dollars.
Wow.
But I mean, even the gas version of that car is probably $100,000 for a nice one.
Yeah, and look, that doesn't look like a beat up one.
Right. Yeah.
And most of those were pretty beaten up.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a rough car. That's all I got this week. Anybody else got anything?
I'm still sharing.
You're still sharing. Oh, well, but that's because we can't stop looking at those kids. Actually, I do have one thing I'll talk about for a moment then, and then I'll turn it over. Please go to the YouTube channel, subscribe there. Just posted a long and very interesting article review on the Toyota Land Cruiser. Mm-hmm. And those of you who are old fans of the show, and by old, I mean you watched the show like years ago, there's this guy named Danny Cooper. We did a joint review this morning on the Land Cruiser. That'll be up in the next few days. Actually, no, in the next week. So look for that soon. And you'll actually see Danny Cooper live and in the flesh. He's
still alive.
It was an amazing morning that I actually wow, you're moving. So do go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Check out the reviews that are there, especially the Land Cruiser review. What an amazing car. I mean, I know that we're all about efficiency and all that, but
it's the best 12 miles per gallon you've ever driven.
No. Okay. You know what? Yes, but I drove that car 152 miles. It was a little more than that, actually. From Escondido, California at 600 feet, over Laguna Mountains at 5,000 feet, dropped down below sea level to go to the Enzabrego Desert, drove around the desert, up hills, down and sand and all that stuff, and then drove back. 14.7 mpg. Now, for a vehicle that is almost 6,000 pounds,
oh my God,
that's an amazing figure. And the other thing that blew me away was that it's really driving mountain switchbacks up and down, right? You would think, oh my God, fighting that big old boat has got to be horrible. Man, that thing corners really well. I have no idea how Toyota does it. I have no idea how they made a car that drives that well on asphalt.
They put a Tesla battery in the belly for balance.
You would think, right? You would think. And then, again, you take it off road and it goes anywhere, almost literally anywhere. It's amazing. A lot of fun, and there you go.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather have a Kia Soul EV?
Yes, I would. I would rather have a Kia Soul EV because I will never have the $87,000 that the Land Cruiser costs. But if I ever get a chance to drive it again, I'm going to take it in a heartbeat.
And the $122 to fill it up every time the tank is empty.
Yeah, it takes premium too. Did I mention that?
Oh my God.
5.7 liter V8 that takes premium.
When you go to park, do like smaller cars come up like
to get you out? Yeah,
and like push you in and then push you out. Yeah.
Oddly enough, when you open the door, there's an escalator that automatically deploys, and you just ride the escalator down. It
doesn't have airbag; it has inflatable exit ramps like an airplane.
That would be exit slides.
Yeah, exit slides.
Do you happen to remember the size of the gas tank on that thing?
24 gallons. And that's one of the odd things. There was a couple of odd things about the car. One was I thought the screen resolution on the center touchscreen was kind of and again, given the low MPG, 24-gallon tank, not especially very big for that car. So, and given where you might be driving it out in the middle of nowhere, you definitely don't want to run out of fuel. Because you don't push that car anywhere. Not even downhill.
It's not a glider.
Yeah.
So I have something to share this week.
Please.
Prius started it. Well, actually Mercedes started, but Prius was the first mass market car with push button start. And now pretty much every car has push button start. Customer this week showed me this YouTube video of this comedian Vic something or other out in New Jersey about what happened when he lost his or he kept the remote for his wife's VW with push button start. Anyway, it's a little foul-mouthed, but it's kind of entertaining. So I'm going to share the link here, and if you guys want to post it and watch it on your own time, and the subscribers that listen to us want a little chuckle from a guy with push button start issues, check it out.
I'm posting it in the chat room right now.
Oh yeah, I was just about to.
And you can tell he's from New Jersey or New York.
It let you post a link. I swear to God, every time I try to post a link, it blocks me.
Really?
Yeah.
You know why? Because you're bad.
You're not an administrator.
Because Google hates me.
Tony is actually. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Mark?
Well, if you happen to watch the previous show, The Tesla Life, you might have heard already that someone in this crowd is picking up their new Tesla Model 3 on the 31st of May.
Oh, thanks, Mark.
I'm so
excited. Oh, wait, no, it's not me.
So I am pretty excited that that's going to happen shortly.
Canadian market Tesla?
It's a Canadian market
Tesla.
So
it's a touchscreen in French and English?
Of course. Of course.
Is it really?
I am sure that there's a French setting. I don't know. I have no idea. But certainly, I will find out.
Showing you charging location, it shows you where all the Tim Hortons are.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's charging for the car or charging for you. So you get that toggle switch. Yes.
Hey.
And it gets an extra star if there's a Tim Hortons and a supercharger at the same place. Right.
That's how they could build the Canadian supercharger network. Just put them in Tim Hortons.
There's too many Tim Hortons, Paul. There's over 2,000 of them.
Oh my God.
It's really sad that Mark can just whip out the number of Tim Hortons.
What? It is shocking number for Canada. It's like, what? There's 2,000 of them. Like, yeah.
Are there that many Canadians to even staff 2,000 Tim Hortons?
Yeah.
And line up in lines to buy donuts in the morning. Yeah. So, yeah, there is. Yeah.
I have been in those lines, and they are not small. It's like Starbucks down here. There's a million of them, and yet there's always like a dozen people in Tim Hortons.
Yeah, it is a popular chain. Man. Let me tell you.
And I will wait in line to get my box of Timbits, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not easy to please, actually. I'm kind of a pain in the ass.
No.
Congratulations, Mark, on that. And we all look forward to what will surely be.
So Mark, are you saying this time next week you'll have a new car?
This time next week plus a day.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll be with Mark the night of his most anxious evening.
That's right. It'll be like a kid Christmas Eve. He won't be able to go to sleep.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly. What time you open? What time you open?
What time is it now? It's 1 minute closer.
Can I be there at 6 a.m.? I mean,
apparently you can show up at any time. It's just they won't give you the keys until the designated time.
Yeah.
Actually, there is no key fob, I guess, or
Right.
key credit card.
You're getting a card,
and
mister.
a phone app.
Nice.
Maybe
Yeah.
Vic will do a story about the credit card keys next.
Yes,
with the
that's
YouTube
right.
guy. So,
Yep.
It could happen. It could happen.
what color is it, Mark?
Oh.
Well, there's only one color to buy a car in. That would be red.
Maple Leaf Red.
But as soon as I get it, of course, taking it to the local wrap shop, and we're going to put a Tim Hortons colors all over it. So.
Yeah.
I love that, though.
The Timbit Mobile, yes, indeed.
We
Just for
already
you,
have
Russell.
next
Just for you.
week's- We already have next week's show title.
We do. Oh, the Timbit
We did.
Mobile?
Yeah, David in the chat room. Was the night before Tesla.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, the
Excellent,
night before
David.
Tesla.
Excellent.
Yeah, sticky note that
That's
one.
Sweet.
Yep.
That is sweet. So, well, let's see.
Yeah,
Oh, I
David-
think Florida Thunderdome might be tonight this
We're
week.
thunder up for this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think David just bought just won a Timbit,
Yeah.
and
One.
Mark has got to deliver it.
Not a
personally.
20 pack. He gets one.
Yeah, we get one.
There you go.
Nice one, David. Nice one. Well, let's do some shout outs and go home, gentlemen. Paul, last to the party, first to do shout outs.
Sure. Well, like usual, I'll shout out myself. My business is Boulder Hybrids, boulderhc.com, Boulder, Colorado. We fix hybrids and EVs, and now we sell and buy used hybrids and EVs. So if you're looking to get into a car in this part of the country, give us a call. Used
Awesome.
cars.
Used cars. No, I'm not in that part of the country. You said this part of the country. Mr. Coughlin,
Just a shout out to the Waterloo Region EV Association. We're going to be getting together this next Tuesday. So
The night before Tesla.
well, 2 nights before, if the Eve, if you would. But if you're in the region, please drop by and drop in if you have interest in EVs. We're going to have a session about solar panels and about some EV adventures that some of our members have been on. So it'll be an interesting evening.
And how far is your local closest Tesla store, Mark?
Well, here's the bonus, Paul. I do have to travel an hour to pick the car up, but since Tesla found out I was buying a car, they've decided to build a new service center in Kitchener. So
Wow.
I am set once they get it built.
And thus is the power of the pun.
that's it. You wield the mighty "What Drives Us" microphone.
That's right. That's right.
No,
Yeah.
actually, it's not very mighty. Speaking of mighty, Tony Schaefer.
Hey, so I'm gonna give a shout out to Three Sheets Brewing from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. This is a damn good beer. It really is. Also, I want to make sure everybody listening, watching, viewing, either live or recorded, if you haven't yet gone to youtube.com/whatdrivesus, head over to the channel, give us a like and a subscribe. Shout out to Melissa, Philo Shea, Arms Dealer. Not sure how I feel about that one. To Warren, Tom, Derek, Divine Time, all recently subscribed to the show, the channel. Thanks, guys. And like
Tell
I
your
said,
friends to subscribe.
yeah, tell your friends to subscribe. Sign your dog up. Sign up your dog's friends. And yeah, I mean, just give us a like and a shout. It helps get the show circulated. As more people like it, it pops up more in searches and stuff. And yeah, and everyone in the chat room, it seems every week the chat room is getting at least like one more person, and that is awesome because the chat room is fun to watch. I don't know if you see me looking off to the side during the show. I'm just watching the chat room where there's entire sidebar conversations going on. And
The Russell's falling off the screen.
I know, yeah. I just think it's great.
The chat room.
People come here and then they chat with people from around the world during the show. So
It's almost 2 GMT.
it is.
Sorry.
It is.
I just had to. I had to say that.
Time to go plug in the Jaguar.
Absolutely, the Jaguar.
Yes,
It's not a Jaguar. Where are you from? Oh, wait. All right. So, as Tony said, youtube.com/what drives us. Please go there and subscribe. Facebook.com/what drives us. On Twitter @what drives us. On Instagram @what drives us show. Thanks as always to Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Do check out our new reviews. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. All of you are wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody in the panel this week. Paul, Tony, and the other guy getting a Tesla sometime soon. What's his name? Horton? Is that I
Tim,
forget.
yeah.
Something like that. Tim?
So
Yeah, Tim.
Oh, speaking of Horton, good
No,
good
don't
line
bring it.
last week.
No, don't
Don't go there.
Horton, here's a poo.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
When did you come up with that one, Paul?
I was reading the comments under the video from last week, and someone else thought of that. But
That is so awful. That is so. I love Tim Hortons, and that's just there. Now I have like a problem with
Now you have a problem picturing Timbits.
my tidbits have been
Yeah.
Timbits
So,
have been compromised.
Yeah, exactly. Compromise is a nice way to put it. Thanks to all of you out there who watch. You're the reason we do the show. Do check in with us next week and find out what drives us. It's time to go. See you next week.